In case you haven't heard, Markiplier, yeah, that Markiplier, made a movie and it's called Iron Lung and it's in theaters right now. It's a sci fi thriller, a little bit of horror. And if you have seen or heard anything about this movie, you know that the horror comes from the fact that it set the record for most fake blood used. And if you're not good with blood, maybe don't see this one, but I really enjoyed it and I had a great time with it and I went into it blind. And if there's anything I can encourage you to do is to maybe go into more movies blind. And if you haven't seen or heard anything about Iron Lung, which is unlikely because if you're watching this, you've probably already seen the movie because it's a movie that frickin' Markiplier made. How is that not the draw to this movie is that, oh my God, Markiplier, that guy made a movie. I would encourage you to maybe go into it as blind as you can because it helped my viewing experience of this movie so much to not really know where it was heading. And there's going to be some spoiler related conversation here in a moment. But before we get there, I just want to say, form your own opinion, go in blind, like be able to not have the immediate reaction of any rating system in the back of your mind going into this movie because the critics are going to tell you that it's bad. The audience score is going to tell you that it's amazing. Letterboxd can be like, yeah, this is a little bit above average. IMDb is going to be like, yeah, this is like, you know. So going into it without knowing really anything about it and what the average scores were for it helped me understand what I wanted to think about it, if that makes sense. Like where my brain was like, oh, I like this, I don't like this. It helps create a clearer path to understanding what worked and didn't work, I think, as an individual. And the thing that mainly did not work for me was the runtime. I think this movie is 15 to 20 minutes too long. It could have been condensed, cut out the bloat a little bit, and I still think you hit the same story beats. The weight will feel the same. You're still going to be able to speak on the same motifs that you want to get across. I don't think you're missing anything if you trim the fat a little bit. And maybe that's just from trying to extrapolate a video game related story and adding in some extra plot based related stuff that I'm not aware of because I've never played the game. But with that being said, this movie, I think, would have been better off if it was 20 minutes shorter. And something that I think I'm kind of middle ground on is the fact that it's Markiplier making it. Like, I didn't want that to be such a contributing factor to my experience watching this movie. I wanted to treat it like it's its own entity. And while that is nearly impossible because Mark is lead, you know, he is the lead actor. He directed this. It's funded by himself and all the stuff that's going on in social media about how they're taking it off the box office charts and all that stuff. It's impossible to ignore. And it's impossible to ignore Mark as a good, not great actor, but the critics will tell you that it's a bad, not good performance, I think. And there are moments where it's like, oh, that's just Markiplier on my screen. But there are plenty of times where I'm like, that's the convict. He is playing that character. And I think he does a good, not great job at doing that. My biggest pro for this movie, and this is the main spoiler thing, is it's the science fiction and kind of horror aspect of it is that it's Lovecraftian related horror. It's derivative of Lovecraftian horror. And that was not something that I knew going into it. And having that be a reveal, if that makes sense, was a very good thing for me as a viewer. Because the premise of this movie is Markiplier, as the convict, is going into this blood ocean on an alien moon in a submarine that's welded shut, and he has to go try and scope out the land and figure out stuff that they are unable to do from surface level scans. And of course there's going to be alien related beings in this ocean because why wouldn't there be? It's sci-fi. But the fact that it turns into more Lovecraftian related was a big bonus for me. And I'm not the biggest Cthulhu dude, but I really, really liked that angle, if that makes sense. And that made the story much more enjoyable, raised the stakes for me quite a bit. Because if they're just some random alien related thing, like, yeah, that's an untamed beast that you don't know what to do with. But when it is Lovecraftian inspired, it almost raises the stakes even more. And you see glimpses of what you're interpreting as the monsters in this ocean, and you see it and you're kind of piecing it together as it goes on. At least I was. And I really enjoyed the direction that it ended up taking, and going into it blind, being able to form my own opinion about it without having that previous knowledge, I think was so big. If I had known that it was Lovecraftian-esque going into it, it wouldn't have hit as hard, I think, in the theater. And not everyone's going to think that way. That's just the way that my brain kind of operated for it and the way that it worked out best for me. And again, everyone's going to watch movies differently. Everyone's going to form their own opinions. And that's just the way that art is, because it is subjective. But I had a great time going into this movie blind, and I was able to form my own opinion and not be influenced by the disparity of the critic and audience scores, although I think we all knew where that was heading before this movie ever even came out. And ultimately, the critic score doesn't matter because this movie has been a box office success. Yes, self-funded, and the budget is a little bit under $3 million, and it has made well over that already. This will simply just open the door and allow more avenues for other people to maybe take a stab at it and see if they can produce something better, worse, or right on par with Iron Lung. I think this movie is worth a watch, and if you can handle blood, if you can handle slight thalassophobia, I guess I think is the best way to describe it, you should be able to enjoy this movie and be like, hey, I saw the Markiplier movie. Thank you guys for watching, and remember, you should watch more movies.